How you doing? Welcome. I think Marcella said she was gonna try to join virtually. Um, yeah, Carol's office. VP. Oh, we're a little late today so far. How you doing, Karen? We'll get there. I am the hopeless optimist. I was trying to fly that airplane last month, and we did it.
I have 6:30 on the day.
Text amendment. Someone. President Silva.
Wouldn't even dream about that.
You sure? That's not what I heard. Good evening, everyone. Uh, Welcome. We are still waiting for a few more members till we meet our quorum. Um, but in the meantime, before we officially open the meeting, I do want to acknowledge we have members of the 72nd Precinct here today, and ask them if they have any announcements to give to our board, or just wanted to introduce yourselves.
Sorry, you need the microphone.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here on behalf of Captain Yasin, the CO. I'm Lieutenant Shack, the Special Operations Lieutenant from 72 Precinct. With me, I have my NCO, Neighborhood Coordination Officer, Sergeant Carolina. So if you have any questions for us before or after the meeting, we'll be available. Yes.
Not officially, but please take the microphone so we can all hear you.
My name is Katie Walsh, and I'm the chair of the Transportation Committee. Yesterday, I was like 5 minutes behind what was a accident on 56th and 4th Avenue, where, from what I gathered visually, a car hit a cyclist. I'm sure you guys know about this, but so I was biking myself, so I was in the bike lane. My point, though, is that we have what's called daylit intersections, which are meant to be hard infrastructure, but they're not. They're just gray paint because DOT hasn't put that in yet. And there was a car parked there. And the reason you have daylit intersections is so when that car that's making that quick right, if someone is going through, they can see it.
Yes.
So that's, it's like how to prevent death traps. Don't have a car that's parked there. So it's not supposed to be paint, it's supposed to be hardened infrastructure. So we're pushing DOT on this issue, but 2 points. Enforcement of these daylit corners where cars are parked, it's not legal. They're not supposed to park there. We need your partnership in traffic enforcement on so many issues, but I'm raising this daylight thing because that I don't know what happened to this gentleman, but he was not moving. I mean, I hope to God he's okay. I didn't look up the reports, and the second point of enforcement is enforcement of yourselves, because right down the block on this corner is a daylit painted intersection, and NYPD parks there. So I'm asking for traffic enforcement broadly on these traffic infractions, highlighting these daylit intersections, and on yourselves as well to not contribute to this problem that's impacting this community. Thank you. Would love a response or comment to that if you can provide
Yeah,
one.
well, I could tell you as far as the 7-2 precinct, if you go by our precinct, we don't park in those daylit areas. As far as the parking you see out front over here, that belongs to the unit that's assigned to this building, the movie TV unit. I could reach out to them and bring it to attention that they shouldn't be parking in there. We have what's called the Standard Assessment Bureau with NYPD. They go around and they, besides like internal affairs, stuff like that, they police like stuff like that with violations as far as parking. So I could reach out to them as well if, movie TV unit can correct the issue themselves. They could bring it to somebody who will help them correct that issue. All right.
Thank you. Nope. Thank you so much. I also want to acknowledge we have Assembly Member Marcela Matenas on Zoom. We're going to see if we can allow her to speak for a few moments. I saw that. That wasn't your fault. It was Zoom. Assembly Member, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm unmuted.
Thank you. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
You can hear me? I'm having a hard. Okay, awesome. Thank you. I just wanted to check in. I'm actually in Albany. We're still dealing with the budget issues. It's very sad to say we have not really been discussing the internal budget negotiations and issues that we need to take care of. The governor's stuck on her mass ban and um, discovery issues. There seems to be some movement, but it also seems like she's has a what seems to now be a growing laundry list of things that she wants to discuss before we get into budget issues. So we're doing the extenders to make sure that the government is still working, the state agencies are working, and people are getting paid. But aside from that, I'm sorry, I don't have much more to share.
No worries. Thank you so much, Assemblymember. I know it's a lot with going on 3 weeks without a budget, so thank you for your work. Um, Thank you. So I believe we have a quorum. So good evening, everyone. I'd like to officially open our April board meeting. And before we start our roll call, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And now for our roll call.
Evening, everybody. If you're joining us on Zoom, please remember to unmute yourself, acknowledge your name, and then mute yourself again. If you were joining us on Zoom, you also don't count towards a quorum. Let's start with Diana Aguilar. Grisel Amador. Thank you. Damien Andrade. Jalea Bailey. Joan Body. Thank you. Gladys Bruno. Thank you. Jerry Chan. Thank you. Esteban Chavez. Thank you. Richard Codor.
Present.
Thank you. Richard, you do not count towards quorum. John DeLuper. Thank you. Beatrice DeSapio.
I'm here.
Thank you. You do not count towards quorum.
Thank you.
Dino Morales Escamilla.
Present.
You do not
Present.
count towards. Thank you. Cabino, you do
Thank
not count towards quorum. Cynthia Felix.
Present.
Thank you. Jamie Freed. Thank you. Kin Fung. Thank you. Diana Gonzalez. Thank you. Hector Gonzalez. Kenny Guan. Thank you. Moshe Hecht. Nicole Huang. Thank you. Nicholas Jackson.
Present.
Nicholas, you do not count towards quorum. Dan Kaminsky. Thank you. Jeremy Kaplan. Thank you. Aaron Keith. Thank you. Wyco. Thank you. Barbara Lee. Thank you. Christina Lem. Paul Mack.
I'm here.
Thank you. Paul, you do not count towards quorum. Antoinette Martinez. Thank you. Jonathan Martinez. Marilyn Melman. Rosie Moda.
Present.
Thank you. Rosie, you do not count towards quorum. Julio Pena III.
Present.
Thank you. Karen Rolnick. Thank you. Joanna Romero. Patricia Ruiz. Thank you. Damaris Santiago. Sam Sierra. Thank you. Kalina Sorma.
Present.
Thank you. Kalina, you do not count towards quorum. Faye Walker. Thank you. Catherine Walsh. Thank you. Cesar Zuniga. Thank you. My count is 25 in the room. We have a quorum.
Wonderful. That deserves applause now.
That hope springs eternal.
Right. Uh, moving on to the adoption of our agenda as presented. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? So motion by Pat, seconded. Any?
Who was the second?
Sam Sierra, there we go. Is there any objection to adopting the agenda? Seeing or hearing none, so adopted. Moving on to adoption of the minutes from the March 19th, 2025 board meeting as presented. Is there a motion to adopt? Motion by Karen, seconded by Gladys. Is there any objection to adopting the minutes from the March 19th, 2025 board meeting? Seeing or hearing none, so adopted. Moving on to public comment. This is for a member of the public. If they'd like to comment on any item on our agenda, you may do so now by raising your hand, either in person or virtually. Item on the agenda? Any last call? Item on the agenda for members of the public who wish to speak? Okay. Moving on to our elected, yeah, that was right. Elected official, I apologize. I spent the last 36 hours on a field trip with 71 high school students, so I'm a little tired. So I beg your pardon this evening. Thank you, thank you. Moving on to elected officials report, we'll start with Ray Morales from Senator Chan's office. We just come up to the microphone, followed by Alicia from Borough President Reynosa's office.
Good evening and thank you. My name is Ray Morales. I'm a Community Outreach Liaison for Senator Stephen T. Chan, District 17. First and foremost, happy Passover and happy Easter to everybody here. The senator was planning on being here personally. However, he did get called back up to Albany. He was planning to be off this week, but he got called back up to work on the very important New York State budget. There are two events that I just want to bring to your attention. I left the flyers up at the front desk. We have a free application for New York senior housing on April 24th from 2 to 5 at our district office, which is located at 6605 Fort Hamilton Parkway. By the way, our phone number for any issues or concerns is 718-333-0311. The second event I want to bring to your attention is a Community Health and Resource Fair on April 27th from 9:30 to 2:30 at OOPH. I do also want to give a nice shout out to the members of the 7-2 precinct. I'm a resident of 7-2 for the last 50 years, and their astronomical 25% reduction in crime this last CompStep period. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ray. Alicia? Followed by Sean Girl from Assemblymember Carroll's office.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here today. A happy Passover and happy Easter. And I'm going to start off with some more serious information and then going over to the events. I have a lot of events. April is busy, so I'll speed through them. So, a question for everyone. Do you guys know about the tax lien? So recently, the list for houses on the tax lien came out with New York City, and it's a big deal. So this is for property owners. If you are a property owner, if you know any property owners. So a tax lien is a legal claim which is placed on your property by the city. So it's when you fail to go and get on taxes with property taxes, water and sewage, or other property related areas. And it is If you don't resolve the debt, the city is able to then sell off your debt to someone else, which can lead to the process of foreclosure. Not absolutely, but it just is a serious thing. So it's very important if you or anyone you know is a property owner, just to check the list and make sure that your home is good, that everything is squared off. If you do happen to be on the list, you're able to resolve it by May 19th. And that's this May 19th, so a month. And you can go, there's 5 different options. I'm going to run through them quickly. So you're able to pay the charges. There's payment plan options. There's also, you can apply for a property tax exemption, submit a lien sale, easy exit program application, or submit an emergency repair certification. And all of this is on newyorkcity.gov/lien sale. There's also a beautiful flyer from the Department of Finance that's out there. Please feel free to grab some, or if anyone has any questions, please ask me. But it's very important to go and make sure that it's resolved if anyone you know has this issue. So yeah, please feel free to reach out to me about that. And then on to the events and fun stuff. So it is about to be graduation season. So if you are an educator or know any educators, please apply for a graduation award. They're very cute. They're for all your students. That is coming up. Also, we are skipping these two. Our office is hosting 2 estate planning workshops this April. So one is already passed, unfortunately, but the second one is at Brooklyn Borough Hall this upcoming Tuesday. So again, if you're a homeowner, really important for protecting your property and making sure that it stays within your hands. We're offering free legal services from 12:30 to or 12 to 6:30 p.m. You just need to RSVP, and they will help with living wills, healthcare proxies, and statutory power of attorney. Also, if you are a big fan of our environment, we're having a full day sort of workshop conference planning for Brooklyn's climate future on 2 Mondays from now at Brooklyn Borough Hall. So that's April 26th. We have a beautiful flyer where you can check out the agenda, also on the table. And there is a final thing. Oh, 2 more things. We're having a sustainable building resource fair. Feel free to grab it. And then we have an amazing youth advisory council. So all middle schooler, high schoolers, and they have designed an event coming up, I believe May 2nd, which is on personal wellness. So if you know any youth, please encourage them to come. It's going to be 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it will be talking about how to go and take care of your mental health, personal growth, mental well-being, and essential life skills. We're also, if there are any educators in the room or you know any educators, we're calling out for ideas for workshops. So if that's something you're passionate about, please feel free to apply and reach out. And that is all for me today. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that. Have the reappointments, decisions been made?
They have not yet, but you guys will definitely know when they are. And I don't have an exact date on me right now, but I'm happy to get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Before I ask Sean, I just want to acknowledge and welcome Congressmember Dan Goldman. Thank you for joining us, and if you wanted to say a few words, please come up for the microphone.
Everybody, how are you guys? Hi guys, Cynthia. It's great to be here. Hello, Link. It's like my former staff reunion here. But it's great to be here with all of you. I first want to thank you for your service, your volunteer efforts as part of the community board. I always say this, and I genuinely believe it. It's more important now than ever that engaging in our democracy in any way we can is what is going to save our democracy. There's a lot going on in Washington and in the neighborhood and the district. And I'll try to touch on a couple of different things that I know are on the minds of many of you. The first is Brooklyn Marine Terminal. I know that Chairperson Pena wrote a letter on behalf of the board about some concerns that this community board has. And just as an update, we as the task force pushed very hard on the city to extend the process for another 2 months. We have always maintained on the task force's perspective that this process is not going to be driven by time. It will be driven by the substance and making sure that everybody on the task force and the community is fully engaged and understands what the various options are. The extension will include at least 2 more community engagement meetings that will be they'll be hosted by the task force so that we can hear directly from everyone and anyone and everyone in the community about concerns and desires and wishes. It's a great opportunity, I think, for the borough, for this area. And there are a lot of measures that are being taken to maintain the identity and the characteristics and the feeling and culture of those neighborhoods there. And there are lots of things that we are discussing that the task force is really pushing for, including subsidized rents for a commercial and infrastructure space of more than 300,000 square feet so that local businesses can remain there, and making sure that lots of green space, that there is significant both maritime industrial, but also commercial and light industrial that makes up the vast majority of the space. And there's obviously a lot of discussion and a lot of opinions about the housing that is being proposed there. And, we're happy at any point during the community engagement to have the city sort of explain the financial modeling and what the restraints are on this. But at the center of it will be a modernized, renovated, state-of-the-art port that will not only be able to increase the maritime business, but it will be able to get trucks off the road because of our location here and the types of container ships that will come in. It will include a hub for the Blue Highway that will transfer goods around the city by barge on the water away from the streets. It will have a fully renovated cruise terminal that will be a destination and will attract more cruise ships that will have a much better way of offloading. So there's a lot of really, really exciting stuff that's involved in that. I am very focused right now, especially in recent days even, but certainly recent weeks, on what is a campaign of fear and terror coming from this administration that is affecting pretty much everybody who is not Elon Musk and who either relies on federal funding and federal programs or who is an immigrant of any type, documented, lawful permanent resident, undocumented. It is an intentionally cruel effort to terrorize our communities and to chill people from basically doing, anything that they can do and they should be able to do in this country. And it's something that many of us are focused on. I guess there's a small, minor success, which was I led a letter, about 100 of my colleagues, demanding that the administration reverse their decision to cut funding for the 26,000 children who are in our immigration system. Obviously, 2 or 3. Look, most people understandably can't follow our immigration system if they're adults, but certainly 3-year-old children need to have proper representation. And there's been some give on that. So that's a small bit of success. But, you know, the Abrego Garcia situation is horrific. And we on the Democratic side are ramping up our efforts on that rather than slowing down. And it has much larger consequences for our country as a whole if people are allowed to be effectively disappeared without due process. That runs against the very, very core of what this country is about, and we're going to continue to stand up for that. There's a lot, obviously, that's going on. I don't want to speak too long. I'd love to maybe take a couple questions before I head over to the next meeting. But
Sure.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you all.
Thank you. Cesar and then Diana.
Good evening, Congressman. Thank you for coming. Couple questions, couple comments. So I'm Cesar Zuniga. I'm a longtime resident of Sunset Park. I used to chair this community board. I'm a dad. I'm the son of immigrants. First question. Right now, Red Hook, Sunset Park, more than ever, need our representatives to show up and not just to do performative politics, but to really be the voice of resistance. So I'm glad to hear you raise all of the issues that you have. But can you be more specific about what you're doing to just not be a vote, but to be a voice of resistance? Can you tell us a little bit more about what, like, specifically are we going to do about not only the threats to democracy, but also the tangible issues that are part of this community for decades? Okay, so this is not something that came through COVID. This is a community that has been historically underinvested. And, you know, again, I know you have your hands full fighting, I hope, but we also need some tangible plans for the affordable housing crisis that we have in this community, the educational system that we have in this community. So I'm hoping that you can get into more specifics about not only using your voice to be the voice of resistance for national politics, but also some of the tangible things that we need here in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Cesar, and points very well taken. I've actually, yes, we've been very busy in Washington fighting back against the just wave of outrageous executive orders and actions, but I've been spending a lot more time focusing on a lot of the district issues because it's actually a place and an area where we can make some progress. I was proud to have helped to secure I think about a $5 million grant from the federal government for reconnecting communities down in Sunset Park and Red Hook, especially as we have the BQE, which divides our neighborhoods. And that is something that we're on track. Obviously, with the Brooklyn Marine Terminal, I spent a lot of time to secure a $164 million grant to help repair the port. That was, I believe, is the largest grant that EDC has gotten of that type. And but that's, you know, that is important and something that, you know, I can work on directly in Washington because that's federal money. But I have a slightly different approach to this job than other federal elected officials, many of whom sort of stay out of a lot of the local issues under the, you know, theory that, well, when there's something federal that needs help, I'll do it, but I'm not going to stick my neck in a local issue. I view you all as all of our constituents. You have city council members, you have assembly members, you have state senators, you have members of Congress, you have federal senators, and understandably, you don't and you shouldn't care which of your elected representatives is fixing a problem for you. And so it's actually very important to me what's going on the local level. I have spent a lot of time in this part of the district, far more time than I've spent in the northern part of the Brooklyn portion of the district, because I agree with you that this is an underserved community, an underserved neighborhood that has not gotten the proper attention. And so, you know, there are any number of different things that we're working on. You asked for specifics. I don't know whether you mean on the city and state level, but I've been very active in pushing for additional ways of building affordable housing. There's not enough of federal programs for that. There's basically one, the low-income housing tax credit, but I'm a co-sponsor of a bill that would double the availability of that tax credit, which is important. And certainly I've been very engaged at the city and state level with trying to address the housing crisis in a way that is sustainable and preserves the character of the city or the neighborhoods within the city, because I think that's very important. And I'm well aware of many and really understandable concerns about gentrification, which is very much a factor in how the task force is approaching the Brooklyn Marine Terminal as well. And that's been a part of a lot of our conversations, both within the task force and the conversations that leadership has had with EDC and the city. And we need to maintain the character of our neighborhoods while also providing a lot more benefits, a lot more opportunity. I've done a lot of work on language access. I've done, what else have I done, Ling? No.
You have always put Sunset Park a top priority of the, hi, my name is Ling Yi. Oh.
Anyway, Ling always remembers these things sometimes better than I do. But the point I think what we're both trying to make is I've been very intentionally been focused a lot on this neighborhood. My staff has been, when I got into Congress, I actually put about 60% of my staff in the district. Most representatives put 60% of their staff or so in DC, but I wanted to make sure that we were very responsive to everyone's needs. And so there is a lot going on, Cesar, in Washington right now. And there's no part of that, of what's going on, that I'm not focused on. And it ranges from the economic issues, the tariffs, the funding cuts, the program cuts, to rule of law and democracy, which, you know, is an area this just, you know, really motivated me to run, because I saw where Donald Trump was going, and having led the impeachment investigation against him, I'm unfortunately very familiar with how he operates. And so this is our worst fears that's going on right now. And this is a time that we need to be very aggressive, very fearless. And despite, you know, security threats or whatever it is, you know, my job is to stand up for the people who need to have a government that's operating for them, not for the president.
Diana?
I wanted to circle back earlier about what you said about the marine terminal. As you are probably aware, this community board has been advocating for years on the issue of last mile trucking facilities and how many of them are in this neighborhood and the impact that it's had. It's starting to sound like we may actually make things worse if the Brooklyn Marine Terminal becomes a major hub for the intercity transportation of goods. Right now, the Department of City Planning has just begun a process of making last mile trucking facility siting a land use process. So I would just love to connect with your office and make sure you have all the information we have about this particular issue so that as the planning for the Brooklyn Marine Terminal goes forward, you're armed with the best information available to help us make this community a better place.
Absolutely. We'd certainly welcome any and all of that information. I can assure you that a significant driver from the task force's perspective is not only the environmental issues, but the environmental justice issues that have existed there for too long. One of the things that I took a lot of ownership over at when the swap between the city and the Port Authority was first made is I held out and insisted that the governor put $15 million in for cold storage. For those who don't know, when food perishables come into the Brooklyn Marine Terminal now, they are loaded on trucks. They're trucked out of the city into New Jersey or upstate or Pennsylvania. They're put in warehouses there. Then they're separated, loaded back on trucks, and they come back in. It defeats the entire purpose in many respects of having a container terminal. And so this cold storage facility that will be built will eliminate the need for the outbound and the inbound, which is just one of the different examples of how we are trying to ensure that we're limiting truck traffic and last mile truck traffic. But we always welcome more information and would love to hear that. Sorry I can't stay longer, but I'm happy to be here, and our office is always open. If John Blasco, Carlos Rondon is here, and they are ready to respond to whatever your concerns are, and I'm always eager to hear what your concerns are and what we can do to help. I got into this because I believe everybody should get that opportunity to pursue and achieve the American dream. And it is even more important right now than ever. So thank you very much for having me. Good to see you guys.
Thank you.
No, really appreciate you being here. I think I've been on the board for years, and this is one of the only times that I've ever seen you here in person. So really appreciate you taking the time to be here tonight. With everything going on in the South Brooklyn Marine Terminal, and you're representing us at the federal level, just really curious to find out what are you doing to make sure that there is 100% affordability in terms of housing, in terms of space for community organizations at the South Brooklyn Marine Terminal.
South Brooklyn Marine Terminal or the Brooklyn?
Oh, I'm sorry, the Brooklyn Marine Terminal. Just because when you mentioned before gentrification being a real concern, we have here in this room, sitting the executive director of an organization that's been in this community for 50 years that is facing displacement. These are things that, it's not tangible. This is real life consequences that we're facing. So want to hear, as someone who's representing us, and having a seat at the table, what are you doing to make sure that there is going to be, again, 100% affordability on public land? Because if not there, then where?
So I agree with you and with the fundamental premise that government should be providing the funding to renovate a public good like a port. And we are working very hard on pushing the city and pushing the state to put more and more money into this project. They have said, the city has, that it is unwilling to foot the whole bill for this project. I'm sure that, it's not, I guess, that there isn't, the budget is not big enough to take on the whole thing. It's that they would argue, and that there are many priorities similar to this. One of the problems that we're facing is that the port itself does not generate very much revenue. And so the port and the business that the port will get is not going to be able to pay for the, you know, well over $1 billion that is necessary to do the major repair work on the port. And so we have and are continuing to drill down on every possible method of paying for the port and for this redevelopment of a really unique area. But you know, I don't know. I frankly doubt that it will be 100% affordable. That model cannot work unless the city is willing to bill, and they have said right now that they're not. Now, what we have already extracted from them is about $1.5 billion of additional community benefit. That's where I think a lot of what you're talking about can be and should be addressed, and that's what we're working on. So there's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars that go to the Red Hook houses. There's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars that goes to subsidizing the commercial space so that local businesses can stay here. There's, you know, we've already increased the affordability significantly, and we're going to continue to work on increasing the affordability of the housing. There's also going to be we're also talking about a separate fund that is going to help nonprofits who operate affordable housing get some funding so that they can get that last bit of money that is often necessary in order to build 100% affordable housing or maintain rent stabilized or otherwise 100% affordability. There's going to be a fund that we asked for that will help transition from renters to homeowners. And one of the other things that we're talking about is that I am personally really pushing for is creating a separate fund for the Red Hook and Sunset Park communities that will be controlled by the community and that will be allowed to have a significant degree of discretion into how that money is spent in the community, because we are very concerned about the gentrification. It's a great opportunity, and there are many really exciting aspects of it, but displacement is something that's very top of mind for all of us. But thank you for your question.
Thank you,
all.
Congressmember. Moving on to, before I get to Sean, going to Ed Cerna from Councilmember Aviles' office, who's joining us virtually. Ed, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Chair Pena, for giving me the time to speak to everyone tonight. Sorry that I couldn't be in person today, just was feeling a little bit under the weather. I tend to push the boundaries of what can be reasonably considered lunch, so apologies there. But just want to build a little bit off of what the Congress member just spoke about. I know CB7 did take a stance on the BMT project, and as Vice Chair, council member of the task force, Councilmember Alexa Aviles, has been pretty consistent on what she wants to see here. So just to say and like ground us, this is a historic opportunity to use like a significant piece of real estate and land that is public land. That is your land as New Yorkers. And so when we are looking at this project, we really do need to ask ourselves, is this really the best use of your land? And so while this is a historic opportunity that can be used to address resiliency, industrial manufacturing, blue highways, et cetera, you know, the proposal on the table is to reduce 50% of the port and to place on that public land luxury condos and market rate housing. And so BMT is capable of becoming a green manufacturing hub. And that is something the council member is pushing for first first and foremost, to maintain this as a industrial working waterfront, very much like is Sunset Park. And so we really do thank CB7 for taking leadership here and speaking as to what the priorities here should be. And then just lastly, just on this one topic, would say that like a lot of things are presented by the city and the New York City EDC around what are community givebacks. But our office stands here to provide, a deep analysis on what some of those givebacks are and whether they're real or not. For instance, the $200 million investment into Red Hook houses, which was referenced by others, and it was actually sought for and won by the city council through the City for All rezoning. And so, yeah, our office stands here to push forward the needs of our working class communities and making sure that we are not moving forward, again, the interest of real estate here and developers. And so my second topic is for today is on the last mile facility text amendment, which Diana just brought up not too long ago. So Councilmember Alexa Vilas has been working hard to address the issue of last mile facilities in District 38, which includes Red Hook and Sunset Park. And one of the ways of doing that, which I've mentioned before, is creating this text amendment that would give the power to the Department of City Planning to create an require the siting of new facilities to produce an environmental impact statement. And so right now, after many months of working on this issue, city planning is collecting feedback from New Yorkers. So now is the time for this board and your neighbors to publicly comment on this plan. Again, this would be a huge win for us because we've seen oversaturation and concentration of these facilities in certain neighborhoods, adding pollution, adding trucks on the roads, and this text amendment would allow the city planning to take those considerations when citing a last mile facility. April 24th, and I could send the details for this, there will be a public Zoom session, which you can register for and ask questions. So I will be sending that to the board. So if anybody is interested to attend that, they can do that. And they could also visit nyc.gov/engage for more details. Quickly on the city budget, the city is currently undergoing its budget. We want to highlight some macro conditions that will be impacting this year's budget. On the federal government, we know that the Trump administration is clawing back a lot of assistance that goes to municipalities and states. For instance, 175 million from the Emergency Assistance Program has been pulled, which will have an impact on over 7,000 households. 120 million of that money goes through NYCHA, and the remaining 50 goes through HPD. We are seeing cancellation of federal grants to universities for scientific research, medical research, and more. And we just saw the pulling of a contract that would provide legal assistance to accompanied minors. That's a $200 million contract, 18 million of which goes to New York State. And because of that, now we're going to see thousands of children with open immigration proceedings going without legal representation. And so this is just cruel, and it's draconian. It's a textbook Trump administration. And as we know, the assembly member spoke about it earlier, the budget is late. So the council has issued its response to the mayor's preliminary budget. I spoke about that last month, so you can look back and see my comments there. But all of this, just to contextualize, is what we at the city level are looking at as we make fiscal decisions moving forward. And so this year will be another tough budget. But as many of you know, our council member has voted no on the budget for 3 straight years because she knows what she's fighting for, and she will continue to do so, and lead for the things that matter to our community. Just lastly, there was an executive order issued by the mayor's office to put ICE back on Rikers Island. You might have seen either today or yesterday, sorry, time is a blur for me, the city council is suing the mayor because of that, because history tells us that when Rikers hosts ICE, there's a violation of due process. It costs the city millions of dollars, and it sows deep distrust in our immigrant community. So as chair of the city council's immigration community, the council member is fighting back against that and making sure that we uplift, as I said before, our values as a sanctuary city. Lastly, I'm just going to plug in a petition that we are working on, and I'll send it to the board. around support for our United Senior Center, which, as we know, is facing some unreasonable rent increases. We stand by United Senior Center. It is the largest center in our community, and we are really leaving no stone unturned to make sure that they stay there and remain in place, because our seniors deserve it. And that center really does fulfill so many needs for our older adults. And so I know Grisel is there. I saw her on the video earlier, and I just want to thank her for her leadership and keeping the doors open for United, and we'll have her back till the very end. So thank you again, Chair, and everyone in attendance. Have a great evening, and hopefully I'll make more smarter choices about my lunch, and I'll see y'all next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Now we're going to have Sean Girl representing Assemblymember Robert Carroll, followed by Ikra Shafiq from Councilmember Shahana Nahanif's office.
Hey, everyone, I'm Sean Girl from Assemblymember Robert Carroll's office. I'll be quick today. I just have one event I want to tell you about. It's the Spring Clean and Green. It's in Community Board 7 on Park Circle, the far end of Windsor Terrace by the TD Bank. We're going to have e-cycling with sanitation, the DMV mobile unit, where you can, if you're one of the first people there, get a real ID if you don't have that yet. We have a textile recycling, we have AARP paper shredding, and it's going to be a beautiful day. Everybody's going to have a good time. So thank you for listening to me. Thanks for being here, and have a nice meeting.
Thank you. Ikra?
Ikra, you can unmute yourself.
I'm
Hi,
sorry.
everyone.
My apologies, Ikra. I was wrong. Are any questions for Sean?
Yeah.
Aha, Jerry.
Can you go back to the real ID thing? Is it the DMV?
It's the the DMV mobile unit. It is a great opportunity to get a real ID. However, it's still the DMV, and it's still limited capacity, first come, first serve. So you have a chance to get it, but it's still, and it might be better than going to the DMV office, but it is still the DMV. So
Okay.
that's the stipulation there.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Ikra from Councilmember Hanif's office.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to provide an update with the Arrow Linen construction task force. At this moment, our office doesn't have any updates, but we will continue to mention this. And if there's any questions, I can definitely go back to the office. I'm going to drop my work cell here. So if you have questions, please feel free to give me a call or text me, and I can always call you back. So I just dropped it in the chat. I just wanted to also flag some events that are taking place. One sec. So, oh, and then another sort of update that we're excited that Brooklyn Public Library secured $34 million for a major renovation. It's a 120-year-old Pacific library. So this is definitely really exciting. There's a Moving on to another event, in-home respite care info session, Thursday, April 17th at 6 p.m. There is a council hearing on universal daylighting intro 1138, Monday, April 21st. Atlantic Ave safety upgrades are beginning. Work is underway between Furman and Columbia Street. I know this is not probably in the district for Community Board 7. I just wanted to mention it. Art and programming proposals for Summer Streets 2025. Artists can apply by April 27 and programming partners by June 6th. And there's also free civic classes offered by New York Historical Society and CUNY Citizenship Now to help with naturalization prep. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to call me on my work cell or text me, and I will get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ikra. John Watkins from DA Gonzalez's office, followed by Francesca.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is John Watkins, representing the District Attorney, Eric Gonzalez. He sends us well wishes and wishes also everyone a happy Passover. and Easter holiday season. The DA and his team of over 700 ADAs work very diligently each and every day. And as I always tell people, the DA's office is like our NYPD, a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation to protect and serve the people of New York City. And so the DA has been very deliberate in fulfilling that in a number of ways. First of all, about a week ago, he had a clergy summit that brought together many of the clergy leaders from Brooklyn to talk with them about crime and safety issues and how the DA's office can be an asset to them for their concerns, especially in these times where for a number of our communities, there are some very serious security and protection issues. So that is a thing that is foremost on his mind. This is an annual event, but the DA is always available for our clergy at any time. Following up on that, something very, very important also to the DA in our office is immigration affairs, especially in these times. The DA is the son of immigrants, and he takes this very, very, very serious as our immigrant community is being attacked from all sides throughout the community. And we have an immigration affairs unit that is tasked with addressing this, working with the governor as well as the Secretary of State to make sure that all possible things can be done to protect our immigrant communities. And that includes assaults on people who to sort of grab them and remove them and take them into detention unwarrantedly. Next is something that the DA and our NYPD partners are very proud of. And recently we just had on the 5th of the month a gun buyback event. It was very successful. There were over 200 guns that were turned in. And oftentimes people have legitimate weapons that are licensed that they don't need or don't want or have somehow inherited. And those pose a risk to them and to visitors in their homes. How often do we hear about children who visit a friend's home and end up, finding a weapon and something very tragic occurring? So this was an opportunity for some of those weapons to be turned in, and those would be destroyed. We usually have about 2 of these events every year, and so there will be probably in the fall another gun buyback event. Recently, there was a very tragic event that occurred in our community on Ocean Parkway on March 29th, where there was a family that was struck by a driver that was being very careless. Today, the DA released a press announcement regarding that unfortunate situation and what the agency intends on doing under the leadership of DA Gonzalez and the designated attorneys who are tasked with this. I'm going to read a brief statement from the DA. This horrific fatal crash was one of the worst I've seen in 25 years as a prosecutor. It wasn't an accident. This defendant unconscionably dangerous driving wiped out a family. The consequences of her flouting traffic laws and common sense were disastrous, and we will now seek to hold her fully accountable for this criminally reckless behavior. So these are just some things that are foremost on the DA's docket, and especially something as heinous as this thing, which took out a family in our communities. Each and every day, there are crimes that are occurring to people who are pedestrians. They can be on bikes or walking down the street, and oftentimes they're done by people who are recklessly driving, and even those that might be on e-bikes and so forth. And so, along with our partners in the NYPD and other divisions, we are definitely, through the DA's office, addressing this. I've left out some flyers on the table. Hate crimes is something that's very, very important to us. We have a hate crimes division that really addresses this, no matter what community. And so people should be aware of that. Also, we have our action center. That is our own 911 so-called hotline. So you can call our action center for any crime and safety issues that you might have, and they can direct you to the appropriate office that can assist you to get the right information. That's pretty much all I have for right now. Once again, happy Passover and happy Easter season. I can take any questions if you have anything. Thank you so much.
John. Francesca? Followed by Anthony from Senator Myri's office. Thank you.
Happy Easter, happy Passover to my fellow Brooklynites. It's great to see you guys. I'll plug a few things and I'll be brief, especially since we had Congressmember Goldman here to give us a whole BMT rundown. I'll save you on all that. The IBX open house is on the 22nd at Maimonides. It's going to start at 6 p.m. We strongly encourage every member of our community, if you can, please make it out. Please make your voice heard. It's a good opportunity because this is going to be our transportation. We need to connect Brooklyn and Queens. In honor of Black Maternal Health Week, which is actually April 11th through 17th this week, I just wanted to plug a few things that we got accomplished last session in Albany and what we're working on this session in Albany. So last session, we truly increased access to doula services across the state. We helped low-income New Yorkers with any pregnancy-related costs. We also increased and expanded telemedicine for pregnancy care and maternal care. And we extended and created for the first in the nation a 12-week prenatal leave, which is seriously going to help all expecting mothers have a sigh of relief and take some time to themselves. And that's also really important for like post like depression and everything and postpartum. As far as this year goes with session, we are really focused on the New York's Healthy Birth Grant that Senator Gennardis is a sponsor of. And through our research, we're hoping that we can slash poverty from 26% to under 10% by investing in our newest New Yorkers and all of our newborns. So please call your state senators if it's not Andrew and ask them to co-sponsor that bill. We have Shred Fest on May 17th at St. Anselm's. It'll be on 82nd and 4th. And I also just want to nail in that Trump's Empire Wind 1 decision is a slap in the face to all New Yorkers, and my office is not standing for it. Senator Gennardis is promising to fight for energy independence and economic opportunity. We've made way too many great strides in energy sovereignty here in New York to let Trump take that down, among other things. So that is still a #1 priority for us. I'll leave it at that. Nobody has any questions? Cool. I left posters outside too.
We do have a hand raised from Gabino.
Oh, yeah.
Gabino, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you for taking my question. So I couldn't be there today. I was just wanting the question for the DA, please. I had a community member ask me today certain questions about an immigration issue that the person had. I just wanted some information on to who I could speak to, or who can I refer this person to, either to the DA. They want to know their criminal history before they went to an immigration, before they went ahead with their immigration process or adjustment. They just want to know where can they search up their criminal history. For the DA, please, if he's still available. I could take this offline as well.
Yeah, sure. John Watkins, that question was addressed to you about where someone can go to search their criminal history. If you could just come to the mic and answer that, please.
Thank you, yes.
Thank you for the question. And yes, it's something that many people in our community are faced with, especially those that have outstanding warrants and summons. And so you can call our Action Center. They can give you the right person to be in touch with in our office to direct you to the appropriate office where you can then search for whatever outstanding warrant and summons that you might have, and the process to have that warrant or summons vacated from your criminal record history if you have such one. Does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. I didn't want to send it to the precinct with the warrant on charge, and he just get locked up right there or something like that. You know, you gotta protect the communities, and this is the question somebody had. Thank you for answering.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just contact our Action Center and they'll be able to assist you. Thank you.
Copy that. Thank you.
Anthony from Anthony Gay from Senator Myra's office.
Anthony, you can unmute yourself.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. Just want to quickly plug two events that we have coming up. Monday, April 21st, we have a tax lien sale event happening at our office for all homeowners that may need information on property taxes, repair, emergency repair charges, and different things like that, or to find out about future liens or if your house has been put on the list. Please come down to our office on Monday, April 21st. And we'll be doing that all day from 10 to 5. Also, I have my information in the chat, my email, and the address to our office, which is 1077 Nostrand Ave, Brooklyn, New York, 11225. And also, we are having a community resource fair filled with all different organizations, all different types of resources, especially legal resources. So for anyone who have questions and concerns about what's going on today in this climate, please come down to our resource fair, which is going to be, at 1356 Nostrand Avenue. That is Lenox Road Baptist Church. That's Lenox Road Baptist Church, 1356 Nostrand Avenue, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that is on the 22nd of April. And if you have any questions, please email me or feel free to call our office, which is 718-284-4700. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Anthony, we have a question for you from Pat.
Sure.
Hi, Anthony. I'm curious, are you planning to do any of these events that you're announcing here in this district?
So we plan to, do events all around the district. As of right now, for this month, this is all we have planned right now. But we'd be happy to hear of any thoughts of events that you think are needed in the area. You can absolutely email me and let me know when we can possibly work something out to bring something to the area of need.
Oh, one of the things that you spoke about was that tax lien information. I think that is something for some of the folks in our community. And I guess you can reach out to Jeremy and Julio. Maybe they can get a list of stuff that's of information that might be helpful to us. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Anthony.
No problem.
And lastly, I believe we have Emmett Mendoza. Emmett, the assembly member, was here and spoke for a bit. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Sure, just a couple of updates. I know that the assembly member talked about the budget being delayed, but just wanted to first and foremost, the office and the assembly member just wanted to share condolences for the families and loved ones who were impacted by the tragic incident that happened at the Jet Set Club in Dominican Republic. We know that a lot of our community members and families are of Dominican descent. So first, we just wanted to share those condolences. Just a couple of updates on what we've been working on within the district, but also in Albany, impacting our residents, especially working class families. First, in regards to housing, we're continuing to push hard to pass housing access voucher program, which you guys have heard me speak a lot in the last couple of months and last year about in regards to providing housing subsidies for working class families who are on the verge or possibly on the brink of facing housing eviction or in housing court, or maybe facing homelessness at the moment. In the district, we were joined by Council Member Alexa Aviles in her office at a recent rally in support of fighting for a rent freeze at the upcoming Rent Guidelines Board. For many people who are not aware, the Rent Guidelines Board is the entity that dictates whether to increase or decrease or roll back or freeze the rents for 1 million rent stabilized apartments in New York State, and especially in New York City. Sorry. Right now, that vote takes place every year in June, and we're working closely with the council member's office to organize, turnout and also organize participation within Sunset Park, but all of our districts as well. So if there's anyone who's interested in getting involved with the Rangons board, feel free to come to our office at 4907 4th Avenue, or you can visit the council member's office. We've been collaborating on this effort for the last 4 years, so we definitely are interested in bringing more residents into the space. Secondly, just want to share that we are also still continue focusing our issue in addressing SNAP fraud and SNAP skimming. Last month, we held a press conference with our elected officials in Red Hook, in the Red Hook Initiative, and we're planning to do another press conference in the next week or two in Sunset Park in order to make sure that we're able to bring protections. At the moment, there are two pieces of legislations that have the ability, one which the Assembly member is carrying, which is to create a SNAP compensation fund so that the state is able to reimburse families who got their benefits stolen after the December 20th deadline that passed on the federal level. And also another piece of legislation that a colleague of ours is carrying to implement a digital EBT chip and the EBT cards to prevent any further skimmings from taking place. Well, if you would like to get more information on how to reach out and how to participate, feel free to contact our office. We're also fighting for universal health care. We know that the governor has put in funding for a version that is able to bring equity, but we want to make it public and accessible to all families. On top of that, just want to share a couple events and mobilizations that are happening. On January 29th, our office is helping turn people out to Albany in order to pass the New York Fall Act. I know that the board has recently signed a letter of support, or resolution, sorry, to the state to pass New York Fall. The mobilization will be 29th of April. If you're interested in coming up to Albany, we're working on trying to find out logistics and how to get people from Sunset Park to come out. So feel free to call our office or reach out to us. And then lastly, the Assembly member is doing her weekly Fireside Chats live on Facebook and Instagram, which is an opportunity for you to participate and learn more on what's going on in Albany in regards to this delayed budget, but also an ability for you to have a conversation with the Assembly member as well. I think that's it on my end, but if there's any questions. Oh, one more thing. The IBX. We know that there's a lot of questions about it. On April 22nd, the MTA is having an open house at Maimonides Medical Center at 6 p.m. More information can be found online, but that'll be April 22nd at 6 p.m. at Maimonides to learn more about the Interborough Express route that will connect Brooklyn to Queens. And that is it.
Thank you so much, Emmett. Moving on to our committee reports. We don't have any votes expected, but I'll ask the chairs if there's anything they'd like to add, starting with the joint committee meeting from Housing and Land Use on the Arrow-Lynn CBA. Antoinette?
Hey everyone, good evening. My name is Antoinette Martinez. I'm chair of the Housing Committee. On March 25th, the Housing Committee, in conjunction with Land Use, hosted a meeting essentially with the Fifth Avenue Committee and with Council Member Shahana Hanif. And they came in and they really gave more information about the community benefits agreement between Arrow Linen and the Fifth Avenue Committee. There were a number of community members who participated in that meeting with community feedback. Residents expressed concerns about the lack of transparency and community involvement in the CBA process. Many felt that broader participation could have strengthened the agreement. Just to provide just some quick highlights of the community benefits agreement. Again, it was signed between the developer, Arrow Linen, and the Fifth Avenue Committee. And again, this is regarding the rezoning at 441 and 467 Prospect Avenue. The development plan includes approximately 250 housing units in 2 buildings. It also includes open green space, 100 units of permanent affordable housing, a portion of which 30% will meet area medium income at 30% AMI. And the units, those 30% AMI units must comply with MIH option 1. And it was included in the CBA that the developer will actively promote inclusion of Section 8 voucher holders. let's see. Also included in the community benefits agreement is that there were 2 community space commitments with a daycare tenant as well as a South Asian advocacy group. That group will receive rent at 15% below market rate. And there are also sustainability measures and the creation of a construction task force with local stakeholders was also mentioned. Some things that the Housing Committee is planning by the end of this month, early next month, is a meeting in conjunction with land use regarding the St. Rocco's. So if many of you are familiar with St. Rocco's Church on 27th Street and 4th Avenue, there's a developer that has filed a rezoning application. This is all public information, it's online. Basically, a ULURP may potentially start. That ULURP clock has not yet begun, but the application has been filed and is available online. What the developer is seeking is 3 buildings, one at and again, this is all what has been filed. Things may change, but this information is available online. They are looking for 3 separate buildings. One will be 13 stories, the second 8 stories, and the third 7 stories. They're also looking for retail space at the site. So we're gonna have a meeting just to go over this. Again, the ULURP clock has not started. This is solely an application that has been filed, but we do want to make sure that the community has all of, all the information available to them. Also wanted to flag that within the coming weeks, the Housing Committee will be hosting an informational. We'll be hearing from the from DHS and the nonprofit Help USA Shelter regarding a 200-bed men's shelter at 225 25th Street. And yeah, we anticipate that there is going to be a lot of folks in the community who are going to show up and raise concerns. We really welcome everyone to come out. That meeting has not yet been scheduled, but it will be scheduled within the coming weeks. So just wanted to throw that out there. Anyone has any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Antoinette. Moving on to Education, Health, and Human Services. I don't know if, Jonathan, if there's anything you want to add to your minutes or from the committee meeting? Jonathan? Okay. I'll take that as a no.
Hi, this is Rosie.
Hey, Rosie, go for it.
I just want to add an announcement we made during the Education Committee is that there will be Community Education Council votes starting on April 25th. So if you're a parent in a New York City school, please log on to your New York school account so you can vote on April 25th.
Thank you, Rosie. Moving on to joint committee with transportation and land use landmarks from this past Monday.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Diana Gonzalez. I'm the land use chair. So just 2 days ago, we had a meeting with Department of City Planning to discuss something that they're looking at implementing, which is to make it so that last mile trucking facilities have to go through the ULURP process in order to come into existence, which would be significantly different how it is now, because how it is now is they can just open up wherever they want. This is very much the beginning of the process. Before the certification happens and the clock starts ticking, there will be an environmental impact statement. Before the environmental impact statement, there is what's called a scope. The scope is what determines what gets studied in the environmental impact statement. We are currently in the stage of weighing in on the scoping. We have asked them to extend their comment deadline a little further so that we can, as the community board, issue recommendations at our May meeting. Our meeting on Monday was not comprehensive. It didn't really get into any of the details of the proposed changes, but there are two upcoming meetings where there will be quite a bit more information shared. Both of them are going to be virtual. The first one is on April 24th at 6:30 p.m. That's when they will provide an overview of the draft proposal and they'll take questions. And then there will be the official environmental scoping virtual meeting on May 6th at 2 p.m. We have asked that this be in the evening or something happen in the evening and not at 2 p.m. So hopefully we'll see some change of that. And that would include an overview of the draft proposal and the environmental review process and the ability to submit comments on the draft scope of work for the environmental review. I think this is an amazing opportunity to have a much bigger say in what goes on in our communities. And I think we are all in agreement that we want in this ULURP process to be able to negotiate with facilities like this before they open up. We can ask for anything from a certain proportion of new hires coming from the community district, electric vehicles instead of diesel vehicles, all of that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for more. And I also know the organization Uprose has already created their feedback on the draft proposal that I believe was included in our minutes. So if you want to know what they think of everything, please check that out. And I'm happy to take any questions. Yeah.
Antoinette?
Just to clarify, is there a particular developer that's looking for rezoning and is it isolated to Sunset Park or is this a citywide where all community boards will be voting?
This is citywide and it is being initiated by DCP, not by a private developer. Yeah, thanks for helping me clarify that. All right.
Thank you, Diana. Moving on to our second roll call.
Hello again. Okay, I'm only going to call the names of the folks who did not answer the first roll call. So if you don't hear your name, you have already been marked present. If you are joining us on Zoom, please remember to unmute yourself, acknowledge your name, and then mute yourself again. Diana Aguilar. Thank you. Damian Andrade. Jalea Bailey. Thank you. Hector Gonzalez. Moshe Hecht. Christina Lem. Jonathan Martinez.
Present.
Thank you. Marilyn Melman. Joanna Romero. Damaris Santiago. Second roll has been called.
Thank you. Moving on to the chair's report. I'll try to be as brief as possible. Just today, actually, myself, Jeremy, John, and Katie met with Councilmember Aviles' office to discuss Third Avenue last month. Was it last month? I think last month Jeremy announced that there will be a stall or there's not going to be anything happening along Third Avenue. We're in the midst of figuring out what our response is going to be. Leading to my second point, tomorrow we are going to be meeting with members of the BQE Community Visioning Partners from almost 2 years ago now at this point when the process started to provide an update on Third Avenue and what has not been happening and to also discuss a response. So stay tuned for more information on what that will look like and how members can plug in on our advocacy. Lastly, as mentioned by the Congress member and Ed Cerna from the council member's office, I did send a letter to the BMT task force on this community's 197A plan and how affordable housing how housing, market rate housing in our industrial zone can potentially endanger that. Just to clarify, This board has not taken a position on BMT, so there was no position for or against the proposal. I'm happy to share the letter with board members, but I just wanted to make a clarification that it was not a position statement. It was more a letter about our potential concerns for housing, bless you, in our IBZ. And with that, if there are no questions, I'll move to Antoinette and Jeremy. Or Antoinette, then Jeremy.
Is the green light on? Any light on? Press the mute button, the green light will come on. Unless the batteries run out.
Gladly. Sure thing.
I had heard that there were some folks that had been granted those Equinor community grants. Is there any way where we could receive information about who received those grants? I forget how much they were, but it was a significant pot of money.
It is a significant pot of money. We will be scheduling, or I will say Damaris will be scheduling a economic and small business. I'm forgetting the name of the committee. I apologize. She'll be scheduling a committee meeting in the coming weeks, and I believe that will be one of the agenda topics for EDC. Or we will ask, no, EDC, Equinor. Jeremy.
You said that you're going to be meeting with the BQE convening group. Who is made up of that? I know that there's been some meetings, but is that like an official entity, or is that any community members can join? Or do you know like which organizations are involved? And
To answer that question, I'm gonna actually ask Katie if she can respond to that because her memory is a lot better than mine right now. So if you could pass the microphone to Katie, she'll answer that question.
and also just, is anyone allowed to join these meetings? Or like,
So there's the visioning partners, and there's the community partners were organized by DOT, and I'm going to try and remember all the names on the list. Uprose was in it, I think pulled themselves out at some point, but they're still on the included. Women's Empowerment Project. Trying to think of other organizations. I have the, but there's a bunch. If you go to the BQE revisioning project and you go to BQE South, then it lists the community partners, and then you can see the list of everyone who's there. And the reason that we're pulling that group together again is because this Third Avenue Street Improvement Project parallel to the BQE revision, and the that goes back to 2022. So basically 2022 is making plans for the 2023 planning sessions that many of the board members here participated in. At the end of 2023, DOT came and presented those signs to transportation. And then in February of 2024, the community board voted on wanting to see the third option, which was the safest option, built out. And that's over a year ago. And then was told that nothing is happening. So that's why we're bringing this group of people together again. And another group that DOT had convened that had members, and I don't remember how they pulled them in, but John was involved in that. So.
His question was, is there a larger BQE community group? So actually, I believe there's a much broader BQE group that encompasses BQE North and BQE Central. Since those were outside of our district, we didn't have any real engagement with them. I believe maybe the only person that overlapped was Fifth Avenue Committee with BQE Central. But we have not met with those groups. We're focusing solely on the BQE South groups. Thank you for that question. Jeremy Lawfer, District Manager, report.
Hello again. So late this afternoon, after we published our newsletter, which you will get tomorrow morning, we learned that the MTA is starting the construction work on the 36th Street subway station. This is the preliminary work, so you're going to see National Grid out there first, and they're going to be relocating their gas lines from the street, which will give the MTA space. So we're finally going to see a shovel in the ground, and we will publish this in next week's newsletter. With regard to the upcoming city planning meetings, they are the first item in the newsletter. You have a helpful link to register for the first meeting. There is no link yet for the second meeting. Once that becomes available, we will publish that as well. Unfortunately, they also gave us a corrupted email address for submitting testimony. I called this morning to get a different email address, and they did not call me back by the end of the day, so we weren't able to publish that. We will publish it next week, hopefully. I was asked to, or a number of us were asked to look into what's going on at 4th Avenue and 40th Street, the old BP service station. There were a lot of rumors about that, but we have learned that Brooklyn Rise Charter School will be moving there. It will be a 4-story building, and it will be all school. So it will not require a ULURP or any sort of zoning change. I'm surprised the borough president's office did not, our liaison did not mention the 2026 City Council Charter Commission, which has started to meet because the borough president has proposed a central office for community boards and also a significant increase of about 80% for all community boards citywide. So please thank the borough president for looking out for our budget. EDC has informed us that they have approval from DOT, or DOT has agreed to add 6 additional streetlights on First Avenue by the new MADE campus. We don't know specifically where those are. It sounds like they're between 39th and 43rd Streets, but we're trying to get the specific location of those 6. Since they had success, we asked them to help us with reaching out to DOT for beneath the Gowanus Expressway. They also let us know that the groundbreaking for the MADE Pier 6, the Pier 6 plan, will be occurring sometime this summer. We took the opportunity, since we have heard from DOT about possible new locations for electric vehicle charging and car share in the district, to speak to EDC about their properties, particularly at the Army Terminal and Brooklyn Army Terminal Pier 4, and also Pier 6 and the MADE campus for car share and electric vehicle charging, off-street, obviously. They said they would take that back and take those locations back and come back to us. DOT has proposed a private bus sharing of the public bus stop at 8th Avenue and 60th Street. We are taking comments on that as well, and I believe we're hopeful to have the applicant at our next Transportation Committee meeting. Since the last meeting, there have been 10 liquor license new and renewal applications, no cannabis license applications, no dining out applications. And then finally, the police department statistics, the comp stat is on the table outside.
Thank you. Any questions for our district manager? Great. Want to acknowledge our council member who just joined us, Councilmember Aviles. Edward stole a lot of your thunder, but is there anything you'd like to add? Microphone, please. Yes. Thank you so much.
Alex, it took us like a while to, okay. Good evening, everyone. So I'm not going to repeat anything that Ed would say, but I will add a few things. We had a great event at the United Senior Center around air tags. You know, many of you know, over the last couple of years, we've had seniors who have gotten lost in the neighborhood. Thankfully, all those issues turned out positive. We found one senior was found way deep in Queens. How he got from 50th Street to Queens is no one knows. So an incredible community member with the partnership of NYU and also Hustle Kings, Jose Rosario, we were able to get a bunch of air tags so that seniors could have them and teach family members how to, so they can track their seniors, because no one knows when you are gonna suddenly lose your faculties around where you are. So this is something we want to probably continue to do, and we had folks help families like set it up and all that good stuff. So it's an initiative that many people were talking about in different ways. So happy, I know Cynthia and some of the community board members were also discussing. Yes, I have an AirTag for my keys too. Oh, yes, as they should. So anyway, so there's, you know, we've closed out tax season. We were able to serve a lot of folks in the neighborhood. I will say on the immigration front, right? I'm the chair of the immigration committee. You know, the situation is pretty dire on what is happening in the federal government. We have filed a lawsuit against Eric Adams around his interest in placing ICE back in Rikers Island. Rikers Island had a facility, and what the city observed at that time was that people's civil and human rights were being violated constantly by ICE. And the city was wasting millions of dollars in holding people past their detainment time. For those of you who don't know, Rikers Island is a pre-detention, well, it's a pre-conviction facility. 75% of people at Rikers have not been convicted of a crime, right? Sometimes they're waiting years for a court date. So you sit in this, what is a notoriously violent facility, right? For years, and many, many harms occur. So the city council withdrew ICE from Rikers because of all these violations. They were going into cells and misleading people, questioning them to find out their immigration status. They were committing all kind of violations. So the city council has sued the mayor on the basis of conflict of interest. The mayor did a deal with the Trump administration, and he is completing his deal with putting ICE back on Rikers. And we think that is against the law as a public servant who should be doing the bidding of New Yorkers, not the bidding of the Trump administration. So that is among many, many issues that we're dealing with on the immigration front. Many families have received notices that they should remove themselves, they should self-deport. People are getting their Social Securities terminated, their temporary statuses terminated. If anyone you know has questions and concerns, please direct them to our office. We will try. Legal services are in dire, dire need because the cases are becoming more and more complicated with all these executive orders. They're creating chaos. The most recent thing was a full termination of lawyers for unaccompanied minors. So New York City has a huge population of children who are here, maybe with guardianship, who we were able to get them an appointed lawyer. 95% when you have a lawyer, you can make it through the process. Some of you may have seen a video of a little child coming up to a dais with a giant headset that doesn't even fit his little head, and the judge asks him, "Do you know where you are?" And the kid's like, "Hmm." "Do you know you're in an immigration proceeding?" And the kid's like, chasing the fly, you know, and this is what happens on a daily basis. And the United States government is actively deporting these children now. So it is a dark time, but rest assured that we are fighting and we will keep each other safe. We will continue to support our neighbors, try to get them help, and continue to hold on to our democratic principles, norms, and dignity of all people. And do not be brainwashed that this is about crime. You see from your own eyes across this country, people are being deported with no criminal history. with no so much as a crime. The crime in the eyes of the federal government is you did not receive citizenship. Even if you have been fighting for that citizenship for 30 years and paying thousands of dollars because the system is so insane. So I thank you for your compassion and holding each other, holding us all accountable, and making sure that we fight for the democracy that we have all worked so hard to build and is happening right here in this room tonight. You know where to reach me. More to come. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. And I will take one question from Jeremy Kaplan.
Thanks so much for your words on immigration. I wanted to ask, because Dan Goldman was here earlier and didn't really give a great answer on BMT, but I appreciate what Edward had said before about, not building luxury condos and luxury housing on public land, and using that as the sole mechanism for funding things. I think it'd be really important for people to hear there's a 2-month stall. You are on the task force as vice chair. Dan Goldman is actually chair. How is the voting process? I mean, and I think it's really important for people to know in the room that EDC circumvented ULURP for this to bring this sort of special task force together instead of doing a ULURP process. And they did that because of this switcheroo with, the Port Authority. So basically this process has already kind of circumvented some of the limited democracy that we have. But could you explain sort of what the dynamics of the task force are? You have 2 months now as extended. What are the discussions basically going on around this? Because how much is window dressing, and how much is actually, can we get a much better deal? Or we've heard from people like Jerry Nadler who just want to modernize the port. That was his thing. Just say, do we really need to deal with the housing component of it right now?
I'll try to be brief because I'm happy to actually have a longer conversation with the board. We could really dive in. So I guess several things, right? I think many of you, in partnership with many of you in this room and folks across the community, we've worked really hard to protect our industrial working waterfront. And that doesn't mean the industry of the 40s. We are all clear that that is long gone. But there are still very much critical needs that waterfront and a working waterfront serves. New York City has 520 miles of water's edge, and very few of it is actually functional, right? A lot of it is recreational when you look out, and it's so pretty. Some of y'all remember 9/11. 9/11 demonstrated to this city that you needed actually working waterfront to be able to get people on boats. Because we did not have that, people had to jump rails to get on boats. You know where they all came into? They came into Red Hook, right? They came into where there was actually port infrastructure. And you could move people during an emergency. During COVID, some of y'all may not know this, the truckers did not want to come into New York City because they were afraid they were going to get sick. Most of our freight comes in through trucks. You know what came in was through the Red Hook container terminal, right? We were getting commodities in through that terminal nonstop. When the truckers didn't want to come in, it also demonstrated how important a working terminal is for the city, for Brooklyn, right? Which is bigger than most cities. So this working waterfront is critical infrastructure. And I am not of the mindset that we should be building luxury housing, not only at the water's edge, because the entire peninsula, when you look at 2030 climate, is going to be mostly underwater. In other parts of the city, we have managed retreat, right? Where the city is buying out those properties and realizing we should not be responsibly building in places that are going to be fully underwater. Red Hook has also, not only is it a floodplain, but in many places the water table is very high, the natural water table. You can go 4 or 5 feet and you see the water. we also have more frequent rainstorms. So in Red Hook in particular, you have a trifecta of coastal flooding, of water coming from rain, right? We had 5 mega rainstorms last year. And then we have a drainage problem because our sewer system is not up to code. And in Red Hook, it all goes down. So there are some really fundamental issues that need to be solved. EDC's plan was, I'm going to be really nice and say aggressive. 5 months to plan a 122-acre property that is a critical property is not planning, right? I have an idea and I'm going to ram it down your throat and make you believe that was your idea. Clearly, that is not happening. It has got extended twice. I'm of the mindset that the community and the task force members, of which there are many representatives from Red Hook who are well-versed and have very particular expertise, are saying there are many large substantive issues that need to be addressed. And until they address those issues, they are not convinced that adding another 5,000 units of housing, not counting the ones in process. EDC did not account for the fact that there's 1,000 units already in the way, right? Y'all know Red Hook, there's 2 roads in and 2 roads out. When the cruise boat comes in, 5,000 people descend on Red Hook in a 2-hour period. Do you know what that means for traffic? It's a nightmare. Now you double the size of that community without a transportation resolution. That is not appropriate. So there's a lot to be worked out. And obviously it's a battle of views. Some people just, this is not the plan that they feel is the appropriate plan. So we're going to keep working it out. I think this should have been done over a much longer period of time to give the people community time to not only socialize the various concepts, because the property is complex. 120, it's not like a block. It's sprawling, it's different, it spans several neighborhoods. It's a complex project. So I guess the short of it is that I think it needs more time. I think EDC came in with a preconceived plan. They wanted housing. They made sure it made it in every iteration. The community has consensus around saving the port and making sure that the port is modernized, right? We've been fighting for shore power to fix it, to make sure we get home port. So I believe in an economic development model that centers the community and benefits the community, not extractive models that just say luxury housing is the thing. I think it's a very short-sighted way to approach. I think obviously we are in a difficult time in terms of city and state and federal, right? We don't have a federal government that will be investing in us. In fact, we're going to be fighting to retain as much money, but it doesn't mean you just give up your asset to luxury housing, because you never get, it never reverts back to the manufacturing industrial land that you can do so much with. If once you harden it to luxury housing, it stays a luxury housing. It'll be like Battery Park City. So anyway, it is complex. There's a lot of dynamics at play. There's a lot of really people from the community that are involved. It does not have sufficient, from my perspective, not only sufficient involvement, but productive involvement where you can see your feedback getting integrated in a plan, and there's a feedback loop. And so that is creating a lot of frustration, as you all know, on land use processes. When you don't see your feedback and you just kind of see it tossed in the trash, it creates more frustration. So it's an ongoing process, I will say. And if anybody has any specific questions, I'm happy to talk on any manner: transportation, resiliency, the housing question, the working waterfront. What does economic development mean and look like? What are the revenue generating opportunities? And also, in particular, Sunset Park shares this as well. If EDC is generating revenue on assets that effectively are our communities, why isn't there revenue sharing opportunities for that community where it is actually invested in the community, right? That's what we want. That's what I want to see from EDC. I want to see revenue sharing, and I want to see investment. They always tell, oh, there's 5,000 jobs. And the next question is, that's nice. how many of our residents are employed? And what does that employment look like? And that's where the conversation disappears into the ether of, I don't know, I'm just a landlord. But those are the things we are very much fighting about. So there's a lot on the table. And again, happy to answer questions. I've taken way too much time. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
Thank you, council member. Board members only, sorry. Moving on, thank you, council member. Moving on to old business. Moving on to new business. Now, I love that now it's like
No.
new business.
No, I
I'm
know.
sorry.
I'm
but
sorry.
Go ahead,
Okay.
please, Katie.
The new business is just on the theme of money being generated. So there's the with the South Brooklyn Marine Terminal that is in our district. It was mentioned the offshore wind fund, but I just want to like park that aside. There is a special projects fund, and that is money that is generated from the rent of the Equinor site. And that is money that's being accrued and sitting in an EDC bank account. It's meant to go to this community. And so I just want to raise that because it was tasked to the Sunset Park Task Force to figure out how that got developed and implemented. And I don't know, I think it's about like 10 years or 8 years or 5 years of like accruing these funds. So I just wanted to be on the record. I know the council member is still here, but I think it's just worth acknowledging these points around these funds and things getting developed, and then they're not being dispersed. There's no planning, there's no actions, and it's like sitting in EDC's account. Okay.
Thank you, Katie. Any other new business? Gabino?
Yes, thank you. This was for old business or new business as well. I just wanted to ask about the BMX playground situation with the DOT. When was the project supposed to be started? Are they late or when is the project supposed to be started for BMX on 34th Street and 4th and 5th Avenue? Anybody has information
Oh,
on that?
John Demick Playground?
Yes, BMX, yeah, yes.
It is funded. There isn't a construction plan yet. They have to do a scoping meeting, and that's when they will start speaking to us on it.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Any other new business? Public comment. Is there a member of the public who wishes to speak to this board on any item they so wish? Pat, Ling, and someone from the back.
Pat,
Sorry.
also known as Cynthia. I just want to reiterate and share once again, the Community Health and Resource Fair on April 27th. There will be free health screenings, mammogram screening, and free food. We're going to have some fruits and vegetables while supplies last, hopefully for the first 100. So if you know anyone, please encourage them to attend. It will be April 27th, 9:30 to 2:30 at OLPH. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Oh, welcome. Next time, don't do a board meeting when you were with 71 teenagers or.
For real. It works. Ling, 3 minutes.
I'm a small business owner. He's on the Zoom. Could you see if you're able to bring him on? His name is Mr. Guo Ping O. If he's not able to talk, because he might be he's an immigrant business owner. He's technically challenged. Yeah, I can just, I can speak for him.
That would be great. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So basically, I'm tasked by some small business owners on 8th Avenue to come and speak about this week and the last week. There have been many raids and enforcement on street vendors on 8th Avenue. But unfortunately, a lot of small business owners got enforced because the street vendor, I guess they're more nimble. They move away on time. And then a lot of businesses instead, they got enforced. And many are grocery owners that put some of their produces outside the shop. And it's both, because we know 8th Avenue divided in the middle. One side is board 7, the other side is board 12. And both the and then both sides have gotten enforced. Sanitation just came in and confiscated everything. In some cases, I'm told by the business owners that there's no ticket and there's no citation, there's no receipt of anything that's confiscated, but people, they are caught on video, basically like a whole stand taken away. And then a lot of business owners say that their loss amount to thousands of dollars, and also loss of future days of business because they can not replenish the stock on time. Of course, we are not there. They're not there. They're not there to argue that everything they do is by the books, because with the putting produces out on the sidewalk, there are rules about, you know, how far or the rules, but they would like to engage and to learn from the agencies. They would like for the agencies to come and do an education, you know, for a meeting to bring to help the small business owners to solve the issue and discuss this. And that brings back to an old meeting that the community board, the public safety and transport committee had back in January 28th, when it was a multi-agency meeting, when NYPD, FDNY, sanitation, and other agencies actually came, had a meeting with small business people and street vendors on the issue of street vendor blocking the road. So there was talk about education and compliance program. And then the business owners would like to, you know, at that time, that day actually happened to be a Lunar New Year Eve. So nobody from the 8th Avenue side was able to attend. I was here to speak about the date. So at the time, it was promised that it was said that there's planned to be another meeting, a follow-up meeting, a multi-agency meeting. And so people from the 8th Avenue community would very much like to see that meeting, to see that engagement, and they would very much like community board to take the lead to bring the agencies to talk, because it's not about just a discussion. We're talking about education, not just randomly hurting small business owners, thousands of dollars.
Thank you, Ling. Thank you. Oh, you came up. Thank you. Please. Go ahead, yes. You just state your name and address for the record, please.
Into the mic, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tina Evans. I work at Brooklyn Public Library. I'm talking on behalf of the Windsor Terrace branch, which is over, I guess, on the north side of this district. I bring greetings. Happy Holy Week, happy Passover, happy National School Library Month. You went on a trip today, and then also happy National Library Poetry Month. All right. So there's a couple of events that we wanted to highlight from this particular branch. I do want to say in general, with the entire Brooklyn Public Library, we're not on the chopping block this budget season. So we want to thank everyone who has rallied for the library. But federally, our IMLS, which funds our Talking Books, our Braille library to prisoners and incarcerated individuals, and library services to individuals with accessibilities and disabilities, that is on the federally chopping block. So tell your Congress members to please fight for libraries on a federal level. All right, so locally, Windsor Terrace, we have a couple of programs, and I apologize in advance. I do not have any flyers, but I can email everyone and give you my information. There's a sip and paint. There's a book discussion this month on Earth We Briefly Are Courageous. There's a quiet reading party on May 6th, on June 10th. And if you like to stitch, that includes crochet, embroideries, and everything like that. That's Thursdays from 6 to 7. I can tell you the date, the time frames as well. Councilmember Robert Carroll actually funded $5,000 for new shelving. So when you walk into the branch, you'll see new children's shelving, and we are in the process of hiring a new children's librarian at that location. But we have a YA librarian, a young adult librarian, we have an adult librarian, and there's a cool Lego program that also happens at the library. So my information, if anyone needs it, is T. Evans, TEVANS, at BKLY Library, LIBRARY.org. And my phone number is 929-273-5496. So again, my name is Taina Evans and I'm regional manager. I'm happy to connect anyone with the branch manager, Alexa, or at the Windsor Terrace branch. Yes.
Go ahead.
929-273-5496.
Thank you so much. Any other public comment? Myra?
You guys probably know me. I'm just here to introduce myself. So you guys probably know me as a staffer for the Congressmember Goldman. I actually ended up leaving the office last month, so I'm just here to introduce myself as a community member for Community Board 7. I was previously a board member back in 2023 for, I would say like 6 months, but I wasn't really active because I didn't really know how government worked and I was just new to everything. However, I just want to let you guys know that I'll be more involved this time around since it is very late in the year. I can't join as a board member, but I do hope to be doing more action with the community. I'm very passionate about immigration, so I know that I was vice chair for the immigration committee back then. However, the chair was never around, Jimmy Lee, so hopefully we can bring that back in and make sure that there's events happening so that we can help resist against everything that's going on with Trump and more on the local level. But thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Myra. Welcome back. Yes, welcome home. Any other public comment? Jerry? Well,
Hi, my name is Jerry. I'm the vice chair of public safety, but I'm here to talk about, I'll kind of follow what Lynn said about what happened yesterday. It was kind of, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. It's kind of chaos that DSNY came in and did what they did with the store owners. But I know that a lot of DSNY folks um, are very nice. They try to come in and explain everything to the store owners and stuff. But the DSNY also told me that they are forced by a certain city council person, right, to come in and do enforcement just on the avenue. So I just want people to know the facts, right? And not just, that DSNY is coming and doing this. They are being pressured by up top. Let me go back to, I kind of tired of hearing what people are saying that the Lunar New Year event. I'm getting a little bit ticked off about it because prior to it, I knew it was Lunar New Year, right? A month before that, I went to the store owners, told the store owners that, hey, we have a meeting. Everyone's coming. Oh, we can't, but you could represent us. Every question that I brought up that night, you could go back to the recording, came from the vendors, not from Jerry Chan, okay? Came from the vendors. So by saying that we did it, like tonight is the Passover week, right? Should we not have a meeting? Right? Should we not have a meeting? Right? Come on. I mean, we are a community board. If you can't make it, you can't make it. It's okay. You could call in, you could send someone out to be representative. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
thank you, Jerry.
One more, Sam.
Sam? I heard those words before.
Promise.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Sam Sierra, and I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
So adjourned.
Second. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. And
Good
I
night.
hope I see you at the health fair.